Well, Coach, we're a little bit over a week into camp. What are some of the things you liked so far?
I think everybody's come in with a really good attitude, and we've had our ups and downs throughout the course of training camp, but it's been good to see us battle through the adversity. And if we have a bad day or the defense gets us on one day, we've been able to string plays together and really respond like a good offense has to respond. And the young guys are coming along, the older guys feel more and more confident, and they're able to play a little bit faster, and it's been good to watch them grow throughout the course of a week.
Coach said that at the scrimmage, and he said quarterbacks look good in general, but he said that Frank kind of took a step, and he was quick to say that it's premature, still too early, but that he took the step, but the rest of the guys did too. But he spoke Frank's praises. So what is he? Since he's from here, there's a lot of interest. I'm not saying there's not interest in the other guys, but what does he bring to the table? The proverbial.
Well, I think and you guys on the media will notice, and people will see on social media, and the big thing is he's got a likable personality, and he's bubbly, he's fun, he smiles a lot, and I think that's why people are attracted to him, and that's what he does a really good job of. And the thing that's been good to witness is all those guys in that room have really bonded together, and they're all learning from each other, and they're all posing questions based on what one guy does throughout the course of practice or even today in the scrimmage. Okay, what if this scenario comes up? What do we do? All right, is this what you want us to do? And it's been really, really good to see them continue to mature and continue to grow.
What are some of the things he did today that that kind of that prompted Coach to say,
right,
he took a step today? What are some of the things that you saw?
Well, in those guys today, they operated within the offense, and it was one where they were trying to stay within the scheme, and they were making sure that they were going to take the first open guy, and that's what we did a really good job of. Our skill players on the perimeter were able to get open, and we didn't sit there and wait for a guy to get open, and we played within the rhythm of the play, and it was good to see them actually operate efficiently as quarterbacks.
If Coach says there's a little bit of a gap between him and the rest of the group based on today, how big is that gap at this time?
It's really not that big, but he did a really good job today, and it was good to see all four of those guys led their units to touchdowns, and all four of them threw touchdown passes. So that was good to see throughout the course of today's scrimmage, and really seeing a lot of those young guys on the perimeter make plays. And we had some guys up front who did a really good job. The offensive line is really starting to gel, and they're starting to play well together. And it's exciting to see it all kind of piece together. I'm in a position where I got to make sure everything fits, and that's been fun because you've got some pieces that you can move around, and you can make sure that they gel together and it matches, and that way we've got punches and counter punches is what we're trying to do.
How does your offense and the way you call it look different with Frank at quarterback versus a guy like JoJo, for instance?
A lot of it is just trying to get the ball to playmakers' hands, and the plays may change a little bit, but really it's moving people and getting matchups, because regardless of whether or not they're playing zone, regardless of whether or not they're playing man, you got to get your best guy an opportunity against their lesser guys in space. And if we can do that consistently and those guys can make plays, we're going to be successful.
Is there an advantage to being able to solidify the quarterback situation earlier, just so you can start to hone in on kind of what works and what doesn't and get more chemistry within them?
Yeah. The big thing every single guy is concerned with is improving every single day. And maybe there's a little bit of comfort if those guys know. But, the big thing is they got to do their job. And that's the most important thing, and we make sure that we hold each and every guy on the team accountable for what is their job. And, we every week, I got it from one of the previous coordinators that I worked with, every week, every day, we do a who we are and a who we're not tape. So we put a couple clips of what is not acceptable, and then we put more clips of what is acceptable behavior for the members of the team, because we talk about, the expectation as we go in on Saturdays when the fans show up, the expectations for the position. If I'm the quarterback or if I'm the left tackle, they expect him to play a certain way regardless of who I am. And that's the big thing, is making sure that we get everybody to execute at a high level in a high manner.
Jeff, you mentioned the offensive line. Are we going to see an improved run game this season? I know that does so much for the passing game and
Right.
getting in space. You think we'll be better this season?
Yes, I think we'll be better, and I think that those guys are playing with more confidence up front. And the big thing, and you mentioned it, you look at the teams that are successful in the National Football League and across the country in the NCAA. You've got to be able to run the football, because when you can run the football, all of a sudden you create one-on-one matchups in the back end. You're not allowed. They can't just sit back and play 3 defenders over 2 of our offensive guys like they do in zone football. They have to start bringing pressure. They got to start playing man-to-man. And when they do, we talk about it. If they're going to bring the blitz, somebody's band's going to play, and we got to make sure that it's our band playing in the end.
This is your first year as coordinator here, but you do have coordinator experience in your class, is that correct?
Right.
Yeah, can you talk about your time? I think it was at LSU at the beginning of one season where you were pretty hands-on with the offense while the OC was, I guess, in the hospital. Or something.
Right. No, I've had a couple of experiences in a coordinating role. The most recent was 2015. I was very fortunate to be in a position where Cam Cameron was sick, and they trusted me enough, and nobody really wanted to step on Cam's toes, because they didn't want him to feel like they were trying to take his job over. And I remember it was Steve Ensminger, the current coordinator at LSU now. We go out to walk through, and I'm sitting there. I got the script in my hand, and I'm looking at him, and he goes, "You're the coordinator. You run it." And so we just went from there. And Cam was still heavily involved, but we FaceTimed him into meetings while he was away, and just kind of we had to go, because regardless of what happens, and it's no different here, regardless of what happens from now until August 31st, the game is still going to be played on August 31st. It doesn't matter if I'm in the chair, if anybody else is in the chair, we're still going to have the game on August 31st. So that was really good, because it was different, and I really had an appreciation for how the whole puzzle needs to fit together. My first experience was when I was at Ashland, a Division II school, working for a guy named Lee Owens, who was great in the sense that he taught me you have to have a system and a series within everything that you do. Because if they're trying to take away one thing in a particular formation, they can't take away something else. And he really forced me to kind of learn to build not just one particular play, but multiple plays back to back that have to fit within those parameters, so you can kind of be one step ahead of the defense.
You planning to be in the booth this season? Is that
I've gone back and forth. For the North Texas game, I was down on the ground. I kind of like being around the guys. But that's still up in the air, and that'll be determined here in the next 2 weeks, where we fit best as a staff and what our strengths are as a staff. With Daryl Funk as the O-line guy, your O-line guy is going to be on the ground. With Coach Ball and his expertise, being a veteran wide receiver coach, he's going to be down. Whether or not you put Coach Vitsa or myself or Coach Johnson down, that's to be determined. So whatever it is, we'll try and make the most of our collective strengths so we can operate at our highest level.
How many quarterbacks do you want to travel? What's optimal for you?
A lot of those decisions are based on, unfortunately, it's based on what's the greatest need. I was fortunate. I was a walk-on quarterback at the University of Michigan in 2002. I found a role in 2003 where I became the guy who knew all the signals, and I could hold for a left-footed kicker who was our backup kicker. And so I remember it to this day, leading into, I think it was game 2, we were about to play Oregon in 2003, and all of a sudden coach is preparing me to travel, and it was a tremendous experience. We traveled 4 quarterbacks, and I went mostly because of a need on special teams, and that'll be the case here. It's if we need to travel an extra body on special teams, we're going to travel it on special teams. But if we've got the flexibility to take one